Validation isn't a bad thing. It just becomes a bit of a trap when it's your only source of worth or that the knowing that you're enough. So if you're constantly seeking approval, reassurance, permission, recognition, please be aware of that. The shift that is available to you is that we can receive all of these things from ourselves and we don't need to rely on other people for it. And that's one of the biggest, most powerful moves you can make in your life. Welcome to Limitless, Unlocking Your True Potential. I'm your host, Fiona Walsh, here to guide you on a journey of transformation and emotional freedom. Each week, we'll dive into the stories of change makers, cycle breakers, and experts in personal development, emotional wellness, and healing. Together, we'll uncover what holds us back and discover the tools to step boldly into a life of purpose and possibility. If this episode resonates with you, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Let's amplify these stories and create a ripple effect of impact. Your limitless life starts now. Welcome to Limitless. This week is a solo episode, so it's just you and me. And today I'm going to be unpacking one of the sneakiest reasons I believe high performers stay stuck. I see it in my coaching containers. I see it amongst lots of my friends. I've been on this journey myself, and it's the hidden pattern of external validation and how this pattern quietly shapes your self-worth, the decisions you make, and also when you feel a disconnection or a lack of alignment between what's going on in your outer world and how you feel in your inner world. If this episode resonates and you're feeling ready to explore your need for external validation, or you're just craving some more internal freedom, possibility, alignment, let's talk about how coaching inside my inner freedom method can support your evolution back into your power, your purpose, and your alignment. Let's get started. So what is external validation? Like, really? We often think that external validation is about praise, like that people are telling us that we're doing a really good job, but it's deeper, it's layered, it's more complex. External validation is when your sense of worth, so your personal belief that you are enough, depends on other people's approval. It's this unconscious outsourcing of, am I okay? And it's based on the external world telling you that you are okay, you are enough, rather than this internal belief that I am enough. Now, when we have a reliance on external validation, it might look like this in your world. So when you're making a decision, you might actually crowdsource different ideas and ask other people, even though deep down, we really know what we want. You might wait for praise or wait for that recognition to be sure that you've done a really good job or delivered a really good project or something at work, rather than knowing that you did the best you could. You might worry about how something looks, the result, the outcome, rather than really checking in with how do I feel around what I achieved. So internal validation is the flip side. So it's this quiet knowing that your worth is unconditional, that you are enough no matter what. And it's this self-trust that you can lean on yourself to know that everything is okay and that you're achieving enough, and not outsourcing it to other people's approval, other people's opinion of what you've done, other people's praise. So I want you to think and reflect. Is there an area in your life where you might be outsourcing what people think of you or what you do? And when was the last time you looked externally to confirm how you should feel rather than checking in with yourself? Now, the reason why external validation and all of the protective mechanism and parts that come with it, which I'm going to get into, like if you relate to perfectionism, if you relate to controlling, if you're a workaholic or a high achiever that is overachieving, if you're a people pleaser. These are all protective mechanisms or parts that are tied to this general need for external validation. And guess what? Guess where this pattern comes from? Let's go way, way back. I want to take you back to your childhood. Can you remember when you were successful as a child? Shut down your eyes. Okay. Think about a time that you won an award at school, or you brought home your report card at the end of the term and it was straight A's. Maybe you aced a piano or an instrumental exam or a singing exam. Your team won the premiership. Now, if you were in an environment when any of these things took place, remember how people responded around you. Did the whole family celebrate? Were you praised? Did your grandparents call to say, oh my God, you got straight A's. Oh my God, you won the basketball grand final. We're so proud of you. And you were praised, you were celebrated, and you felt loved. You felt enough. Now, I'm not saying that praise and celebration shouldn't be done at all. But what about the time when you're a kid and you played your very best game of basketball or soccer and you lost? Or what about the time when you stood up for yourself but got in trouble? Or a time when you felt really proud of how hard you tried? No one noticed. The silence in these second examples sent a message to your nervous system that you mattered most when other people acknowledged your achievements or your outcomes or your success, or when you pleased them. And your nervous system started to learn and adapt that I'm safe when I get results. I'm needed and loved when I'm helpful. I'm easy. Can you think of moments when you were a child when you felt seen? Was it for who you were, or was it for what you did? And usually it's not that polarized. Like, I'm sure lots of your parents and grandparents did see you in your effort and see you in your struggle. But if there was a lot of emphasis on cheering you on when you got the results and got the outcomes, then it's really likely that you have got a tendency to crave external validation as an adult, because the patterns that we took on as a child play out our whole life. The cool thing about this podcast and you guys listening and the work we can do is that once we understand these patterns, we do have the opportunity to change them. So we're not stuck in them forever. Once you see them and hear them and this sparks some curiosity, trust me, you can't unsee and you can't unhear, and you will want to do something about it. I want to give you an example, 2 examples. One is in my coaching containers. I've got 2 clients at the moment who are not particularly happy in their roles at work, and they're trying to figure out what they want to be in this next chapter of their life. They both received performance review feedback in the last few weeks. And they're very self-aware, high-performing, valued people in the corporate. So you can imagine the performance review feedback. Oh my God, we're loving what you're doing. You know, you're working with these really challenging leaders and you're getting great results. That project that you delivered, you know, smashed all expectations, hit goals that we didn't even expect. So guess what? In the moment, both of my clients are just like, oh my God, I'm loved, I'm valued, I'm enough. My results, they're enough. And then they start to say to yourself, oh, okay, maybe this is the right job for me. Like, everyone's telling me that I'm amazing. But if the sugar rush dies in a couple of days and you're back to, oh my God, why am I here? I don't like this. I don't think this is where I need to be. This is a pattern of what external validation feels like. And when you're starting to actually challenge it. So the validation didn't stay. It didn't stick, because if it's not aligned with your internal validation and what you want to be doing and what feels right for you, the praise and the accolades will only be short term. And once they wear off, you'll be back to where you are, which is feeling like you're lacking clarity, you're a bit disconnected, and you're wondering, shouldn't I be feeling better than this? So when there's a complete mismatch between what people telling you about what you're doing is great, and then you start to question, but this isn't actually how I want to feel, this is when you're starting to see for the first time your reliance on this pattern of external validation, and also the ability that you have, the responsibility that you have to change it because your internal compass is telling you that you want to feel as good as your success looks. Now, as I said before, these patterns often look like success on the outside, but on the inside, they're actually driven by quiet fears. They're driven by our protector parts or protective mechanisms that came online in our nervous system to look after us when we were younger. And their job is to keep us safe. So if you know that you've got a protective pattern around perfectionism, what this might look like day to day is over preparing for things. So going 5 steps ahead, multiple contingency plans, procrastinating, all or nothing effort. So feeling like it's never enough. The fear that you're likely to be avoiding is that you just don't want to be getting anything wrong. You have a strong fear of failure. And the core belief that sits under that for perfectionists is that if I get this perfect, I will be enough. Another protective pattern that might be playing out for you is overachieving or overworking. So if you're constantly striving, chasing down goals, the next thing, but when you pause and actually sit with the results, you're not feeling the level of fulfillment or joy or satisfaction that you desire, you might be trying to avoid a fear of being average or unseen, which drives this overachievement. And the core belief that sits under that is that if I do more, if I keep going, keep working harder, I will earn love and respect. Now, people pleasing is a favorite of mine and one that I've done a lot of work on too. And people pleasing looks like saying yes when you really wanted to say no. And the fear that you're avoiding with people pleasing is a deep fear of rejection, not wanting to disappoint others, or being seen as difficult. So if you were a good girl or a good boy growing up, this is where it plays out. And the core belief that sits under people pleasing is if everyone around me is happy, then I'm safe. An interesting one is the last one I'm going to do. There's plenty of these, but an interesting one that I also think comes up is around image management. So if I always look composed and capable, like I've got everything together, like I'm looking like I'm great, then there's a fear underneath of being judged or misunderstood. But the core belief is if I look perfect and polished, then I'll be accepted. Another trap just to be aware of. Now, which one of these is resonating with you? Is any of them? And I will say, if it's triggering you, you're a bit activated by what I'm saying, that's okay. As soon as we get awareness around this stuff, it's likely that it can be uncomfortable. Just be really, really compassionate with yourself around what's coming up. Be curious about what's coming up and listen to your inner voice because it's time to start listening to your inner voice. You need to be trusting it more. Okay. So what is actually going on? What happened in our childhood that is now playing out in our adult life, and it's driving this need to put our power outside of ourselves and rely on other people's opinions rather than our own truth and our own belief? Okay, you may have learned that you needed to earn love rather than it just to be something you can receive. So if you were praised for your achievements, if you were the good girl, if you were easy, you may have internalized a belief that I'm lovable when I perform, when I please, when I succeed, when I get results. This isn't your fault. It was a survival mechanism and it's now safe and we're going to unlearn it. If you weren't seen for who you were, you might struggle to see yourself now for who you were because you were always seen for what you did or the results that you got. Now, this achievement based on success or results creates a disconnect from our true internal self because it's based on things that happen outside of you. Now, validation isn't a bad thing. It just becomes a bit of a trap when it's your only source of worth or that the knowing that you're enough. So if you're constantly seeking approval, reassurance, permission, recognition, please be aware of that. The shift that is available to you is that we can receive all of these things from ourselves and we don't need to rely on other people for it. And that's one of the biggest, most powerful moves you can make in your life. I want you to know also that you're not broken. You adapted. This younger version of yourself, these protector parts that came online, these patterns in your nervous systems, they were and are strategies to keep you safe, which is our ultimate survival mechanism. And so what got you here won't get you there. What they protected you from is actually now what's holding you back. It's what is limiting you, and it's making you feel stuck and disconnected. The cool thing is that we have the ability to rewire how you relate to yourself. And this is part of the healing and transformation journey. What have you been waiting for to hear from somebody else that you could actually start offering to yourself today? Now, the big shift, the power move, is to move from performance and success as a metric of I've made it, I'm doing well, I'm approved, to inner freedom. And this is what I do in my private coaching containers. So we move from external validation being this hidden driver that's motivating us, but also feeling disconnected from who we truly are. And it really leads us to stop the perfecting. We stop the overachieving. We stop the pleasing. Because as I said, they're just protective mechanisms and we don't need to be doing them anymore. I want you to know that the most important thing in all of this is that we actually don't need to become somebody new. We just need to understand these hidden patterns and the parts that are keeping these patterns in place, that are running the show of our internal world, our internal dialogue, and understand that they're very noisy in our head. They're telling us what to do. They're asking questions a lot of the time in our inner dialogue. They fill us, they flood us with fear. And the opportunity, the switch for us is really to step into our own power, open our hearts. So we're leading from heart rather from fear, and start to explore what is external validation. Can I release the need for my perfectionism, my pressure, my people pleasing? And the answer is yes. And if I've tweaked your curiosity today, if you're like, wow, I had no idea how much emphasis I was placing on the external world versus my internal world, then please reach out. One of the key points I want to leave with you is the importance of understanding your reliance on external validation and how it might be playing out with your children, if you're a parent, or if you're in a work environment where you have people who you coach or you lead. And this is a hack from Dr. Becky Kennedy, who you guys know. I love her work. She's my go-to parenting guru. And one of the things that she talks about for lots of us who identify as those who have a need for external validation, and so that we do not pass this need on to our children. We want our kids to, when they're faced with a decision or faced with how they're doing, that their first move is to look inward to their inner compass, their inner truth, and not look outward for how I'm doing. So yesterday morning, one of my kids pulled out this book that they've been working on in class at school. And they'd written the story, they'd done illustrations, the front cover, and it's all in this book. And it looked awesome. Now, before I was aware of my tendency for external validation and praise, I would have jumped straight with like, oh my God, that is so cool. Let me have a look. Oh, I like that drawing, and tell me about the story, and like, oh, cool glitter that you put on the front. Like heaping praise on them with the best intentions. And this is exactly what would have happened to you as a child. This always came from good intentions, that your parents pouring praise over you because they're like super proud of what you did. However, that move alone would have taught my child that my opinion mattered more than theirs, and that they should listen to what my thoughts and perspective and praise or approval on their book creation was, rather than their own internal dialogue. So instead of saying that, even though I really wanted to, because it was awesome, my line of questioning with them goes, oh my God, tell me about what you've created. Which bit are you most proud of? Was there any part of this that was like super tricky or you felt stuck? And every time I ask those questions, the answers I get are just mind-blowing because what they see in their work and what they're proud of and what they like about it is the most important thing. And mark my word, they're always different answers to what I would have shared if I had gone first and I had jumped in and given my opinion, my approval, my praise. And what matters the most is that they value what they brought to the book and what they're most proud of themselves. Now, after that, I also do like to say, I'm really proud of you. And I usually will repeat back some of the things that they've said to reinforce that their inner compass and their inner dialogue and their truth is the most important. I also, as I said, listen, if you're doing this in corporate, it works as well because what your team members bring to the table and what they value in themselves is really important. And if you're always jumping in and telling them why you think they've done a good job, yes, you're giving them external validation and praise, which is great and important. But you might be missing a really important opportunity to understand where they believe that they added value. And in doing so, you're helping build their own sense of worth, their own internal validation, which is a gift to an adult as well. If this episode has sparked some curiosity in you, if you're oh God, I definitely rely on external validation and maybe this is the thing that's making me feel stuck, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you about my coaching containers and explain how my method might support you unravel this pattern so that you can look inward first and really lead from a place of truth and authenticity and alignment in everything you do and no longer look to the outside world for, am I enough? Am I succeeding? Am I approved? Did I get their approval? One of my favorite quotes, which I'm going to leave you with, is from Dr. Becky. And she says, the most powerful validation is the kind that comes from within. I want to thank you all for being here today. I want you to know that you're all enough. And I can't wait to see you all again soon. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Limitless. If you enjoyed today's episode and love hearing the stories of courageous cycle breakers, I'd be grateful if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your feedback not only helps others discover the show, but it also amplifies our mission to unlock emotional freedom and true potential. Every review makes a difference in helping more people embrace their limitless life.